Hello, everybody. How are you? Here I am on Thursday night, June 24th. In 2 more days, my grandson's going to be 14 years old. And so, happy birthday, Evan. All right. So, I see Marcia made it here. Good job, Marcia. Hi, sweetie. And let me see what's going on. Hold on. Let me see if anything new. Okay, don't see anything to worry about there. So how are you, Miss Marcia? Hello, darling. All right, and let me make sure I've got some pictures. Okay, hold on. All right. I think, all right, I want to make sure that I have any photos while we're waiting for everybody else to get here. Let's make sure there are no new photos to share with you tonight, okay? So I'm very excited. And we have a new person's picture for tonight. Let me grab a new folder for Edwin East. So Edwin East, okay. And I'll get her photo put in there. So that is great. Thank you. It was nice to have this moment to go ahead and gather up anything new. So I am doing great. I am back to be home and busy again. And today, my daughter and I worked out in the yard. And then I came in around noon and I worked and worked on this studio. So I'm getting there. I'm really getting it very clean and I'm excited. So have you made any more beads, Miss Marcia? I hope. I like that bead you made. In fact, that is what tonight's discussion is going to be about. So while we're waiting for more people to get in, I'll give you an early shot at what we're working on tonight. Because tonight is Fabric Bead Palooza. So before I have made these boho beads and they are a lot of fun. So I'll give you a little recap about these. But I've got this now on a little scissor fob. So let's say you want to make sure you claim your scissors as really yours. You would make something like this, hook it to your scissor handle, and then you've got it marked. So let me unpack all the stuff but I got the last of my plants in the ground because in about a little over a week, I'm going to be having my left cataract done. And she said, you won't be able to get garden for a while. Hello, Michelle the quilter. Oh, it's so good. You have scissor markers like that? Yes. And wait till you find out how easy this is to make and inexpensive too. All right, let me pull out my stuff. All right. Here we go. I've got all kinds of things to show you. Been working on it. So let me see. All right. I am very proud to say I have folded, ironed, put on. I store my fabric in the baskets, like a miniature laundry basket that I get from the dollar store. And I buy these comic boards. The cheapest price I've seen them, these are the mini. They're smaller than a sheet of paper, but close. And price 7 by 10. The cheapest place I've found these is Connecting Threads on sale. You can get a big pack of 100. And then what I do is I take the fabric and I leave it folded in half like it comes off the bolt. Then I fold it down one more half. And then it fits on here perfectly. I make sure I iron it really smooth. I put it on the board, ironing every time I do another flip of it over. So every layer is pressed. And then when I have it totally wound on here, I have these jumbo paper clips, okay? And you can get jumbo paper clips anywhere. But let me show you the size of them. See them? I use that to then clip the final edge of the fabric on like that. And that keeps the fabric nice and neat and tidy. And this stood up like this. You can fit a whole bunch of fabric in one of those little miniature plastic laundry baskets. So that is a good thing. And then if it's a fat eighth or a fat quarter, I take and iron it until it's this size. And that way I have some little accessory plastic things that I can stack them in. Like you use them for silverware, those little silverware drawer kind of inserts. And so I can stack two side by side like this and stack a mess of those in the little silverware drawers. So just with a little bit of money, a little bit of time, a lot of ironing to make sure that fabric is flat as it can be, then I can fit lots of fabric in those two containers. So let me pull out some things I have been working on to show you. These are some styrofoam that I put toothpicks in. And when I make my paper beads or my cloth beads, I use this to dry them. So I've got so many fun things to show you tonight. I'm excited. All right. I have some yarn. Whoops, don't drop my bracelet. Hold on. Okay. Hold on, let me grab this bracelet. I love this bracelet. I got it from Missouri Star Quilt Company. I love this thing. So I don't want to lose it. All right. So let me get out all my supplies. And I have bits of yarn, ribbons, some really pretty shiny thread. What is this pearl satin? Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I like to buy, I think I got these pearl satins for about, they were 25 cents each at a closeout one time at some little store. And when I see good little bits and bobs, I grab them. All right. Then I've got a ball of sari yarn. You can also get sari ribbon or sari fabric. And I like this because it's nubby. It's silk, and it's one of the more nubby kinds of silk. I've got my good old school glue. And, I buy school glue by the gallon because I use it. All right. Now, I've got some beads in here that I can use to decorate some of the beads when I finish. And I've got pony beads. I've got wooden beads. So how am I going to make a fabric necklace with wooden beads? Let's see. And I've got some black beads, some wooden beads, because you need spacers. All right. Now I've got all kinds of, I'll get out my samples and my prepared, and I'm going to show you how I go about preparing fabric to make beads out of. You have lots of fabric and paper. Good job. Good job. All right. So now, let me get all this out and I'll show you. All right. I've told you before that I make lots of paper beads. Well, I also make fabric beads, and they can be a lot of fun. So let me show you really quickly how do you make a fabric bead? How do you take fabric and turn it into a bead? And let me show you that it really is possible to do. Here is one of my fabric beads. This is out of Kaffe Facet fabric, and you notice it's nice and firm. It's nice and firm and shiny because I have sealed it. So see, you can push on it and it's there. So, and I've got some really pretty ones. I have some Asian fabric here that had little touches of gold and cranes in it and stuff. That is beautiful. I've got some batiks. I've got Kaffe Facet. But all of these beads are made of nothing but fabric. Okay? So, and they've already been sealed. Oh, I might have forgotten to bring down my sealer because I like showing you all the products I use. So I know I've got some sealer because I had it the other day. Here it is. I have it. This is what my new favorite thing to seal with. And it was back at Christmas, and they had a really good sale on this. And so I got it in the multiple small bottles. It was as cheap as buying it in a big bottle. That way, I don't have to worry about it going bad. I don't have to worry about the lid getting on and not being able to get it off because these acrylic sealers, they stick really well, and that includes the lid. So, I'm so glad you like them. So, and I've got other fabric, a different kind of fabric bead I'll show you too. All right. I'm going to pull the camera down. So if somebody else comes in, tell them I said hi because I'm going to have the camera down showing you how to prepare a fabric bead. Okay. Here is some awesome fabric that's going to make a wonderful bead. Then I've got some of this batik that I thought would make a good bead. Now, besides this, I also found some fabric that is quilter's cotton but looks like denim. Now, for this, I am going to make a bigger, thicker bead. So I took a heavier fusible, and this is a stiffener. I mean, this feels like a piece of thick paper. So I use that for the fabric that I'm going to make this big bead out of because I'm going to stitch on this and decorate this. But for these, I just used good old interfacing. It happened this time. I had run out of it, fusible interfacing, and I put in an order from Michaels, and they had this, and it was great. And it's a medium weight. Let me find it right here. It's a medium weight, and I ironed it on the fabric. And that, you don't have to do this, but it really makes winding the bead easier. So what I'm going to do, this is my favorite bead rolling, and you can get it for about $9 or $10 online if you look. And I've forgotten the name. A woman designed this, and I'll show you why I like it so much. The only problem I have is the head of it is a little small. I wish she would make another one with a slightly bigger head on it. But see how I slid the fabric, and since the fabric has been starched and hi, Patricia. Since it's been starched, I starched it on this side, making it nice and stiff, and then I put the fusible interfacing on this side. It is so good to see our Patricia. Then I slip it in the little slot because these bead rollers have that little slot, and that helps hold it for you. Now, let's say you don't have a bead roller. That's not a problem. Get a crochet hook and start. It's a little harder when you don't have a slot to hold it, but you can do it. And what I do, I want this bead to have some stiffness. So let me get my glue open, and I'm going to run this down like this. Some people just glue them at the very end, but I want my beads to be nice and stiff, and I don't want them moving around. So this fabric I just knew would be wonderful for a bead. Okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and use the whole piece here. I wish I had more of this fabric because that's gorgeous. Let me put a little more glue here. And you get your fingers a little messy because I'll take and like spread out the glue like this. If you have thick interfacing, cut it from away from the edge. That way, when you do the last roll with the fabric, look, you can't see the seam because it's just the fabric thickness and it hides the seam. So the reason I like this bead roller is you can go like this and it pushes the bead off in your hand. Now, I will take this bead and I will put it on my improvised little bead dryer like that. Just toothpicks and a piece of styrofoam. Okay? And I'll put that there and let it dry. Now let's see how we're going to do this fabric bead. Isn't it great to see Patricia? I love all of y'all being here. Okay, so this is a piece of batik. I've done the same thing as put the medium weight interfacing. I try very hard to put it in that little slot on this bead thing. And there are different ways you can make your own bead roller with like 2 little nails and whatever. And like I said, don't be afraid. Let me go ahead and put some glue. This is starting to. Sometimes if the fabric, like a batik, is really slick, it doesn't want to sit still. Now when I put that on there, I smooth it out so it covers it well. And then I'm kind of holding the fabric while I get it going well so it doesn't just spin on me. I think it came out of the little slit in it. Charlene Lawson, hi, honey. Okay, this is going to make 2 beads. I can see already by this thickness. So what I'm going to do is nip this off, and I'm going to nip it at a slight angle. And that way, when I fold it, you're a little less likely to see the seam on it. And I'm going to put a little touch more. If you have a good supply of tacky glue, that'll hold it even better than school glue. When I put this on my little improvised bead dryer, sometimes see this, for whatever reason, this fabric doesn't want to stick. Now, I thought, yes, I did. I did bring down some tacky glue, and this is a thicker glue that has a little faster cure time. It has less water in it. Well, come on. It has less water in it. I think I'm going to have to get the other one. Hold on a second. I normally like to keep a empty coffee mug down and keep these with the lid on, but pointed down so that the glue is ready to come out. All right, so now with that tacky glue there, I go ahead and roll it up, smooth it out like this. So this is how I make my fabric beads. Now, why would you want to make fabric beads? Here's this one. Here's this one I just made. Well, let's say you want an inexpensive necklace and you want it to match a fabric. Yep, crochet hooks work great. Here is a cheaper set of, this is a cheaper set of bead making tools. And the reason I wanted the purple handle one is this has a cheaper metal and it tends to get a little sticky. You saw me use a pen to try to clean it out. And, oh, good job. Wow, that's wonderful, Patricia. I can't wait to see it. So you got to keep this little groove cleaned out. Sometimes you might have to wet it, but dry it good. The metal you can see is a cheaper grade of metal. This looks like a stainless steel, nice and shiny. Plus, this one has the plunger that pops the bead off for you. Sometimes when I would use this one, because the metal wasn't as good, the bead would stick to it. And then to try to get the bead off, I ended up pulling the bead inside out. And that wasn't, then you've ruined it. So if you really like making beads, I would go online and look for the purple bead maker. Okay, I love this thing. All right. So, and what I was telling you is, for some of you who came in a little later, this fabric looks like denim. I put a heavier, but it's not denim, it's quilter's cotton, and I put a heavier weight interfacing on this because this bead I'm going to do all kinds of decorating on. So, what did I just, so here is the denim look fabric beads. Here are those two. Now, where are my other beads? I'm letting those dry. These fabric beads I did last night, and then I put the finish on them this afternoon. And it's Kaffe facet fabric. It is an Asian with metallic fabric. This is more of the batik that I just rolled up that was mostly brown. And then I have this beautiful tropical print fabric here. But see, you can make these match the outfit you're wearing. So just go find the fabric you have and you decide how wide you want. These beads are about 1 inch. And for a good average bead, that's about what I cut them. And what I did first is, the first thing you do is starch the fabric. Then you place the fabric. This would have been a wider piece that I placed on top of fusible interfacing, pressed it down. Okay? And then here is a piece of that wonderful fabric. And so then I come along and I'll use this beater. And so I just slip this in that little slit, because if I do that, sometimes you can kind of fold it over just a touch. Today is fabric necklace, fabric bead making. We thought we would have some fun. The other day I went on Michael's online and they had a special on home delivery of your order. So I I like using school glue for most of the bead because it spreads so much easier. So let me go back to my school glue, which, like I said, I buy by the gallon. Okay. So now I've put this on, and you could do this with a crochet hook until you decide if you like making beads. And then you just hold it and you wind it up. And sometimes it's a little harder to do fabric than it is paper beads, but it's so worth it. Look at the design you get. This looks like it's wide enough to me. So now I'm going to cut it at an angle to kind of hide that seam over the distance. And like I was saying before, on fabric, you have case fabric. I love case facet fabric. Okay, so I like putting a fabric. If you do paper beads, you hardly ever have to use anything more than a school glue to make it stay closed. But fabric is a little trickier. So it helps to have something like a tacky glue to get this. So now I just pull this off, and then I will get my bead dryer, See, I use really expensive things, leftover trash styrofoam and toothpicks, and you've got a bead rack. Isn't that neat? So, all right. So that's one kind of bead. And, okay, let me show you. This is the one with the heavier interfacing. I'm going to make one of these because there's something I want to show you about this type. And I'm going to use this bead winder because this one doesn't have a very long tip on it. And I want the longest tip because this is a wide fabric. All right, so I'm going to slip this on the end. And I've got about 6 different kinds of beads to show you tonight. Okay, I've got that on nice and firm. I'll get my school glue and put my school glue on here. And then I'm going to roll it up. Oh, didn't take much for that to be wide enough. All right, so unfortunately I put too much school glue on this, but that's okay. I'm just going to cut it and it'll be ready for when I start it again. I know that this is going to be tricky to get the seam to glue. So what I'm going to do now is take and peel back this heavier interfacing from the edge of the fabric. Whoops, let me see if I can do this. Let me get this glue off right now since I don't need it there. Keeping that bead keep it snug. But what I'm going to do is with my fingernail, try to peel off the interfacing. Let's say you have a hard time getting that interfacing, then use a pen, a sewing pen, and just pull it loose. So see how I pulled that interfacing away now? All right, what I'm going to do is cut it back almost a 1/2 inch, okay? Because this fabric and that, hi, Linda, no problem. I started early tonight. Don't even worry. I just missed doing this last week. Oops. Now I just made another mistake because, like I said, the tacky glue, I use school glue except for the last bit. And you see how I cut back that fusible interfacing? And then, and any little threads, like you see this thread, I just pull up, take my scissors, nip them off, nip it neat and tidy, lay it back down. Okay, then I slide it off the bead maker. And see how the ends are a little messy? So what I do is take these little snips and I lay it. Do you see how I'm just kind of laying it on the top edge? And I'm trimming. And by doing this, if you rest the scissors on the top, it will cut a very even, flat end. And that's what I like. Now see this one? Look at how, see how the fabric's a little messy? It is so good to see you, Miss Linda. All right, so now I'm going to do the same here, but I'm going to come down further because I want it to be an even bead. This means that the fabric wasn't the same width all the way down for it to roll like that. So I try to get it down pretty good, and then there is this bead. Now, I'm going to get my bead dryer and put it with the other ones, okay? And we're going to do something with these blue beads in just a moment. All right. Now, I have so many different things to show you tonight. I showed you the sari ribbon just a moment ago, the sari yarn, which is silk left over from sari making. And I am so excited to show you how to make these. And what you're going to do is you're going to end up stringing these. But first you're going to take, like here, it picked up a little piece of copper thread. And I'm going to I can take any kinds of specialty yarns. This might be a beautiful yarn to use on it. Thank you, sweetie. And I'm going to use all kinds. Oh, here is the Asian fabric that I was making some of the beads with. So I'll do this too. But remember I showed you the beautiful, beautiful satin pearl threads that I bought? I can take and sew on some of that. And I have beads and different kinds of things. So I'm mostly going to take maybe some lame threads and glue these on it. And then I'm going to sew some really pretty beads. Now, let me see. I'm trying to remember what kind of beads are in this envelope. Oh, they are pretty. So I'm going to choose. I've got some pretty elegant beads that I'd like to use. They could be these iridescent beads. And here's an earlier one that I started to make, but I'm going to show you a change that I made to them. But I've got all kinds of beads. Oh, these. Look at these. I don't know. I might like the littler iridescent better. But look at this color. So any of these little beads that I had left over from eyeglass holders that broke, And like I said before, this is the sealer I love using right now. But there's all different kinds, and you can use whatever kind. Here are some of the sari beads that I started making a while back. But I think these are great to have little ones to go with these big ones. But this is going to be my favorite size for my necklace. But you see, I started making some earlier. So let's see, how did I get to here with the sari beads? All right. First thing I did, the first thing I did is I save everything. And anything I think I can use for a project. This is cotton. The real cotton they put inside medicine bottles. So I had saved it not knowing what I was going to do with it. And today when I knew I wanted to make these sari beads, now you can take and wind the sari ribbon as it is. But that would waste a good amount of sari ribbon when you just want it to cover the outside. So I'm going to take some of this cotton and I'm going to put a little bit of school glue on it so it'll kind of hold together. And I'm just dabbing it all around, okay? And then I'll bring back down the camera so you can watch my hands. Hi, Cheryl. Okay. Oh, you're on vacation in Charleston, South Carolina. Woohoo. Oh, that is beautiful down there. Might be a little humid, but I bet you it is pretty. All right. So now, having a bunch of glue on this cotton, have a good time, Miss Cheryl. And, oh, hello, Grand. Yes, it is Thursday already. And so I put a little glue. In fact, see how the cotton kind of wants to stick to the glue on my hands. But I love that this holds it together because you can do it by just sewing the thread in place. But I have arthritis, and that sewing through some of this heavy thread is a little tough. But see what you do? You just now take and wrap it around. Now, it's not really feeling sticky anymore. So I'm just going to come back and just dab, 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 here, there, whatever, with little dots of glue, and then start wrapping again. Okay. So you see how easy this is. And by using the cotton and turn it in different directions so that it's really wrapping, like see how I'm spinning the ball. And then I'm going to do a little bit more dabs of glue. It'll dry clear, but it'll help hold the thread in place. Now, it will not be washable. Remember that. Oh, good. Put a little touches of red back on the outside. All right, that looks like the right size. Now I'm going to come back with my tacky glue. so I can glue down the final piece. So where is my other little one? Here it is. Here is my other big one. And I got pretty close to that. And they don't have to be perfect because the weather's been great. The house you're staying at has a pool. Oh, you're having a good time. You're returning to embroidery. Yay. Oh, that's wonderful, sweetie. But see how these, and then remember, I had started making some smaller ones earlier. So what I will like to do is either use the smaller ones in the middle or use the smaller ones on the end with the bigger ones in the middle. So those are the sari beads. And then I will take needle and thread and decorate these with little kinds of beads and little bits of lame thread. Anything like that, as long as it's glued down and or sewn down so that and I like wearing this because it just says I'm an artistic person. So I can't wait. Yeah, sorry beads. Oh, that's good pun. Good pun. So now I'm going to put these aside and show you something that I'm really excited about. We're going to start a new project next week. But for today, I thought we would play. I'm so excited that I got my order in from Michael's because this summer is craft summer for me. And I'm getting all my plants are in the ground and it's soon going to get warm. And when it does, I'm going to stay inside and make all kinds of things. And I'm going to take you along on that journey with me. All right. So the next style fabric necklace, it's all about using fabric to make jewelry that says, I'm an artist and I love fabric. Are you ready? This one, I've got to be honest, this took off a few layers of skin on my hand. This was a tough one and I'll explain why. All right, I took this gorgeous fabric and it's kind of slinky, which makes it easier to use and better. And it had teals, blues, pinks, tans, and burgundies and black in it. Well, look what I made it into. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? So this is going to be a beaded necklace. Now, let me tell you how I made it. I took a piece of fabric about 3.5 inches wide. And then I seamed it so it's just over an inch wide. I put a seam down the middle. And then, thank you. It does go good. And you know what? I love the different fabrics because you can put it on a black shirt, a teal shirt, a blue shirt, a red shirt, a pink shirt. So isn't that cool? Oh, prayer beads. Oh, that would be neat. I have to look into those more. But what I did is I took and put a seam down the long edge of this fabric. Then I take a big safety pin, unless you have a turner or a bodkin, but I put a big safety pin and pinned inside this piece of fabric and closed it. And then that's how I ran it inside out, turned it right side out. Okay. And then this one I think is going to be my favorite. But I've got another neat one to show you too. I love doing this kind of stuff. Can you tell? I'm like a little kid. So what I did to make this easier, I liked using the inexpensive gold pony beads. Okay. And here we go. All right, I'll bring you back down to see. Oops, don't get this hung up on my camera. You made something like this a long time ago. That's neat. Now, I had the other day from Michael's. I already had my gold pony beads. But I bought some miscellaneous assorted painted beads, which I wish now I had more of because I really like those. But then I bought these, and these are about 3/4. They said, I think, about 3/4 of an inch. But what I do, and right now I've used all the big ones. See, here are the big ones inside here. Now I'm going down to the smaller ones, and I'm doing a smallest, a medium, and they're the big ones, okay? The big ones are the natural ones. So what I'm doing is the next one's going to be a small one. So here that bead is, and I drop it in this tube, okay? And this is why it was important to have, if you're going to have something this big, this is why it's important to have a kind of rayon or soft hand lawn, something really flowy and not too thick. And then I kind of twist this down to the end. Oh, here is my safety pin that I used to turn it inside out, okay? Oh, thank you. Hi, Edwinice. I got your picture today. I love everything. You're right. Life is too short to just do one thing, I think. So I take this pony bead and I pick the pony beads that look like they have the widest hole. Yeah, tonight we're playing. It's like, how can we turn fabric into jewelry and beads? So now I have gotten the pony bead. Now this is the tricky part. And I don't, okay, did I break? Yeah, yes. This is where it helps to have pliers because this fabric's pretty thick for this pony bead. So I have to pull and pull. Finally. This is the hardest part, and you've got to feel strong or have somebody to help you. But see, when you pull the bead on there, it locks the wooden bead in place. And I love when you see the fabric gathered. So that's why I wanted it to end up like 1.25 inches diameter across, Let me show you. See how it's 1.25 inches across? And this is a tube. You can put your finger down it. But if giving that little bit of extra fabric, that fold, makes it look so cool. So now I've got to go to a medium-sized bead. So I'm going to go in my bag and I'm going to order some more of these wooden beads. They're so pretty. Okay. So then I just twist around nope, doing the wrong way. Hold on. I've already put the gold pony bead on. Now I take the medium bead and drop it in. I've already used the large beads for this necklace. Now I'm down to the last couple. Okay. Here are the large ones, then medium, small, medium, small, medium, small. And this is the very last bead that I'm going to put on. So now what I have to do is carefully tuck that seam in and twist this to make it as easy as possible to get that pony bead, because the pony bead is the hard part, but it also makes it pretty and easy. And this is inexpensive. These are just plastic gold-colored pony beads. This is not fancy stuff. Yeah, I think it looks nice, but it's inexpensive fun. And as soon as you can, grab the fabric out of the center of that pony bead. And this is where it helps to have some pliers. Oh, I'm glad you're having fun, sweetie. Okay. And so you just pull it until it comes right up at that bead. Now, I haven't decided for sure how I'm going to finish it. I've seen people just take and make a knot and trim the fabric and maybe put some fray check on the end. And so I did a double knot so it will hold, and then give it a pretty good tug. Well, this fabric is so smooth that it wants to pull out. So let me do one more knot. Okay, then pull the knot hard. And for right now, I'm going to clip it short like that. And let's see what we've got. Okay? So put it on over. I think that's right cool looking. What do you think? Okay, and I'd already made this one, just got some coral color beads and put it, I like making my necklaces stretchy because I've got a big head. Don't tell anybody. They'll never know. So now, if you like this one, and see this one, especially with the gold beads on it, you could put this on with a nice outfit and wear it to church if you wanted. So there we go. How easy is that? Wooden beads and a 3.5 by 25 or 24-inch piece of fabric. There you go. So now, if you like that, I've got another one to show you. This one, I'm going to have to add some more fabric to it. But let's say you just want to go out in a pair of jeans and a little t-shirt. Here is another one I made. Now, this I was going to make it the same way, but I didn't really want to put silver or gold pony beads on it. And I thought it would have been cool to use some of these different color wooden beads, but the hole was too narrow. So let me tell you what I did. I put a bead in, first on the end, I made a knot, pulled it real tight, then put a little bead in, then made another knot, then put a bead in, made another knot, put a bead in, made another knot, and I pulled them tight. So, see, and now I've gotten to the big ones. There's a problem though. When you make a knot, it takes a lot more fabric because, so right now this one wouldn't work. But what I'm going to do is take and open this fabric where I finished sewing it. Let me find my seam ripper. Come on, seam ripper. Take my seam ripper and I'm going to open up this seam where I sewed it. And I'm going, well, I wasn't going to tell anybody, Patricia, I don't go to church, but I love nature. Nature's my spirit thing. So, and I had plenty of that today out in the yard. Okay, so if I open up the seam, and this is what you got to listen to this part. I've got a little bit more of this fabric that I can cut and use. And this is a wonderful batik. See it? It's a multicolor batik. And I've got more of this I can use. But this is what I'm going to have to do. First, I've got to turn the fan on. I'm having a hot flash, and it doesn't feel good. So hold on one second. All right. Let me get my fan on. All right. I'll feel better very soon. Okay. All right. So I just open this up and open it farther than you would think you have to because I want to be able to get this flat. Let me see who is messaging me because, okay. All right. I didn't know if somebody was trying to say, hey, there's a problem with your camera, but there wasn't. All right. So you have to open this further back because you're going to want to get it nice and flat under the needle and then put it on a short stitch. Because let me tell you, you tug on this to make a tight knot because I think it looks better with a tight knot. But see, this would look good with just a pair of jeans and something. I mean, this will be fun. So I will be getting some more of this fabric. I've put it over there. I was so good today. I worked for hours in here I'm getting it cleaned up. I'm still going to have Polly come over and sew, but I looked around and you know what? I thought, I'm too embarrassed to have anybody come into this mess. So I'm getting it cleaned up. And you know what you do? Yep, I did my bracelet too. I took one of these pretend gold cuffs that was tarnishing and I just used the acrylic sealer and put that on, glued it on with tacky glue. When it dried, put the acrylic sealer and it works. So, and I do other kinds. Like I did this little bracelet. I bought some of these. When Michael's has a sale on beads, I'll buy them and make something. Although I've got so many now that, I get them on sale for just a couple dollars a strand. And so I've made so many now. It's like, whoops, time to stop. But see now how I have a good bit opened on this? And this way I can lay another piece of fabric and stitch, stitch a seam along, and then keep on going, because that's important to me. Now, the only thing that it'll be hard to turn it inside out, but I'll figure that out. So, but I really like knotting it. Isn't that cool? Oh, that's a good idea too. I could do one on each end. And the little knots is so that when it's up here by your head, you don't want a big ball up there by your head. The little wooden balls work fine, but I like the bigger ones, so they'll show up. I'm a big girl, so I need a big necklace. But anyway, but isn't this cool? And that's just knotted. Wooden beads, pretty simple, pretty easy to find, inexpensive. So, all right, so you saw how I made them, and you can knot them. I'm sure you could take and sew a circle. What do they call those, jump hoops? You could, if you wanted, sew a jump hoop to it and then put a metal closure on it, or you can just knot it. It's up to you. But I want some more beads. They were fun. All right, so we've done that. And then I really like these. So I'm going to keep this one on if y'all don't mind. So anyway, I'm going to like this one too. In fact, look how that would even go. And since it has so many different colors in it, you can wear it with just about anything. So that's the beauty of fabric. Now, all right, and I used fusible interfacing on them. All right. And then I showed you how to make the sari ribbon beads, so the sari yarn beads. Okay. Yeah, jump rings, those round rings. At least that's what I call them. But, and you could even take and make okay, here are my fabric beads that I made. And I've got Kaffe Facet fabric. I've got Asian fabric with gold in it, and I've got some very bright and colorful fabric. This has one coat of the acrylic sealer, but I'd like to put another one on because I'm going to trim this real good to make sure no threads show. You could even sand it, anything to make it nice and smooth, and then put one or two more coats on. And if you put enough sealer on there, you will not know it's a fabric bead. But you can take and match. Like I need a yellow necklace. So I'm going to find some yellow fabric, make fabric beads, and I'll have a yellow necklace. So that's the fun thing is you look in your closet and your fabric stash and see what you've got. Now, the beads I like most, like this little one, I just noticed. See the seam coming open? So I'll re-glue that with tacky glue. And then when I seal it again, you won't even see it. Sometimes that happens. When the fabrics, you put the sealer on, they're wet, the glue can let loose. Just do it again. It'll be fine. And, but this purple is a batik. Batiks do really well with these beads. So I love these, and then you can decide if you want to put what kind of other beads you might want to put in between. cork beads, wooden beads, stone beads, black. Some of these would look really, really pretty with black beads in between each of the fabric beads. You can take the fabric beads and make them into um, scissor, what are they called? Scissor fobs. Pardon me. Lost my brain there for a minute. But here is, and I was going to tell you how to make these scissor fobs. You won't believe how easy this was. And we all have junk drawers that have little bits and beads and little scraps of fabric somewhere in our sewing room and little bits of wire and whatever we have, little scraps of lame fabric. You take a straw, like a plastic straw like you would get from fast food places, and you cut the length that you want the main body of your bead to be. A plastic straw, okay? Oh, good. Oh, you will be enjoying that. And then I took and ran, I took this bead and I put a wire through it. Oops, it's probably not, here's the wire in that bead. Put a wire, ran it through the straw, put some more beads on this end. And then I wrapped it with pretty ribbons and lame fabric. Then I wrapped it with a piece of wire and put a few beads on it. And isn't that cool looking? These are called boho beads. Yes, well, you know what? If you make something pretty with them, you'll help the sea creatures because they won't end up on the beach. So that's a good one. But yeah, too many plastics in our water. I agree. But isn't this cool? Isn't that cool? And if they end up making paper straws, you could use paper straw too. But anyway, these are a fun thing to make. You can use these for necklaces, or like this is just a scissor fob or key fob with your car keys, whatever you'd like. So now you know how to make those. And you have to have some pliers and, use a type of metal that's not so hard to deal with your hands. All right. So now, isn't this chenille cool? I love that. So I've got my tray of beads. I want to show you these beads. I saw this on the internet and said, how cool is this? Do you see these beads? Pardon me about my messy hand. It's paint, glue, who knows what. And I was working out in the yard today, so there could be some petunia dirt right up in them. But are these the coolest looking beads? Aren't these awesome? Now, if this doesn't say I'm an artistic person, I don't know what would. And here are some more. So I thought, here, see the funny little seed stitches? And then look how they've put different kinds of yarn on it. Pearl cotton, just little fun stuff. And Linda, this is a great idea for you because Linda is really good at sitting in the evening and working on something. So let me get a needle threaded. Oh, nice one. And I'm going to take this pretend denim fabric and I'm going to show you how to embellish them. And don't forget, I took a piece of styrofoam, stuck toothpicks in it. That becomes my bead drying rack, okay? All right. So when I'm looking at this blue denim fabric, I said, I don't want all different kinds of colors. I'm going to stick with the blues. So let me show you some of the things that I found. All right. Look through all of your craft drawers and look at this. I love especially when it has a little bit of bling on it. So I've got this. I've got some yarns. Now that's pretty. That's just a little bit of a purple in with that. Now, if I were going to do a brightly colored one, I would go ahead. I'm just going to cut off some pieces of these because I don't need the whole thing. Okay. And then I might not use that. That's a little bit too fancy. Okay. So let me cut off some of this yarn. And I'm going to cut off some of this yarn. And what I did is I have a wonderful sister-in-law and former sister-in-law, and I said to her, do you or any of your knitting friends have little pieces, little end bits of yarn that you don't need anymore? Well, they sent me a great big bag of all kinds of fancy yarns that they didn't even want anymore. And see, this is my satin pearl thread. And I think, that might be a good neutral. And then I'll pull this dark cobalt out just in case. But I love looking through some of the different, look at this. Look at this one. I can use the blue, tan, and green parts for this. So let me get this out. Whoops. Okay, I'm going to cut a hunk of this off because I'm going to mostly stay blue, but if I can get a few little neutrals in, that might be really awesome. All right, so there we go. And then what kind of beads did I have in this package? Oh, that might be good. So I'll bring some of those out. Okay, let me get my scissors. Anyway, all right. I'll put these black beads away, but these are just little plastic beads you can use to separate your fabric beads. So now I'm going to take this is candle wicking yarn or thread. And I got this for 5 cents at a store that was closing out. So if I find something I know I'll use, I'll go ahead and grab it. So I'm going to pull ply out and let me thread this. And I'm using a larger-eyed embroidery needle since I'm going to be putting different weights of things in it. So let me thread the needle. Come on. Even with it being an embroidery needle, it's hard to thread. Come on. I talk to it as if it's going to listen. All right. Yay. Okay, I guess it did. And this I wanted to be a blending in thread. So now I'm just going to, I like putting big knots on things. I don't want to lose the knot. I don't want it to come out of the bead. All right, here's my bead, okay? Felt on them, but most of them were just a nice thick fabric because you can see how you can see the weave? But see these decorations on them? Those are of felt. And that's wonderful because, in fact, I will send you these pages, Linda. I got to remember. If I forget, you email me. But these are all woven fabrics, but they are decorated with felt because felt doesn't unravel. So you can put a little piece on there like that and it won't go anywhere. So, okay, here we go. Now what I'm going to do first thing is I'm going to decorate this bead with chenille. Isn't that going to be cute? Because that's what they did in that picture where I got the idea. So carefully bring the thread up from the inside of the bead and make sure you put a couple stitches in one place because you don't want that. You don't want to spend all this time working on the bead and then have your decorations fall off. Don't go through that many layers. Just go through the top layer or two, okay? That's all you need because you have glued this, you have glued the layers together because with it, some people when they do paper beads only glue the last little quarter of an inch, but I glue further on because I want it to be nice and stiff. I don't want to in any way for the insides to be able to pull out of the bead. But now I'm just going to take and stitch this around. And what you're actually doing is you're decorating this bead. So I love the fact that this is a gray-blue chenille yarn, and it's a denim look fabric. And see how you can see the seam right there? Don't worry, I've got a plan for that. Okay. So you go around, and you're going to go all the way around, stitching this down. You're going to do it on both ends. All right. Then when it comes to the seam, I can take a piece of yarn and just stitch, or I can I might even put this in a needle and just do stitches. Let me thread another needle. I hope I can use, this is a chenille needle. How about that? Oh, there's a pretty, I like that. Okay, let me thread this. But you don't have to use this. I could do stitches with that. But let me see if I can get this threaded. Come on. I'm hoping this chenille needle will be, I'm hoping it will be sharp enough to go through. If it's not sharp enough, don't worry. I'm going to pull the camera back. Yeah, this is some nice little fun in summer when it's too hot to have your lap taken up with a quilt. And this is just something you can sit around in the evening on a hot evening and work on. All right. So just picture that I've already got the chenille wrapped around here. In fact, let me cut the excess off. I'm going to double back over it just a touch, so I'm going to leave a little bit extra. And let me see. Whoops. I don't want to lose this needle. When I went camping, I was sewing on the couch in the camper, and a couple times I accidentally lost a needle. If you lose a needle, Mark swears, by getting a flashlight and shining it like horizontally on the floor, and it will cause that little needle to glisten, and you can find it. Don't do like I did and find the needle with your big toe. The other night, oh, good, Edwin Niece. I think you will love it. And and like I said, if you don't have a bead roller, then just use a crochet hook. And it's not as easy, and you can find bead rollers on Etsy. You can find them on eBay. If you my favorite bead roller is this purple one. It's very easy for me to hold with my arthritis, and it's easy to push off the bead. See how it has this plunger? And it also has stainless steel. Whoops. It has stainless steel rods so the beads don't stick on it. But you can get the cheaper ones and try to get some of these little rubber things to help cushion it in your hand. And these have a cheaper metal end on them, but they work pretty good. But if you love bead rolling as much as I do, then spending $9 or $10 on this is a good deal. All right, so now let me get ready to take out this thread so I can do the other decorative thread. And like I said, don't go through the whole layers, all the layers in this bead, just the top two, because you have already glued all these layers together. All right, so now let me put a knot in this. I want to hide this knot. And I'm going to make each of these beads a little different, but have some similar things in each one so that they'll work together nicely in a necklace. And just so you know, I made an inch wide denim look fabric to make smaller beads that are just going to be regular to go in between these decorated beads. Ah, looks like a headband for girls. It does. Okay, so we've got this. Now you see we've got the chenille on this end. Now I'm going to take and just come under the top edge, grab a piece right, make sure you get both sides of that seam. Okay, pull that through. And then I'm just going to do a little decorative stitch, kind of like a chicken foot or chicken scratch, I forget what you call them. But I'm just going to do a little decorative stitch along the seam. Okay, whoops, come on. I can do it. I can do it. All right, and I think what I should do is, and you can make up any decorative stitch. You can look online and find embroidery stitches. And I'm just going to do this decorative stitch here, and then I'm going to do it a couple more times so that way it's decorative, but nobody has to know you're trying to hide that seam. Now this bead is bending a little bit right now because I just made it a couple of hours ago. Normally I would make them and let them dry overnight so they'll have a little stiffness. Another thing you can do is hold on, let me get my pliers. Another thing you can do, I think the chenille needle is a little thick for what I'm trying to do with it. But another thing you can do is decorate the last inch or something before you actually make the bead. Then that way you can have all these decorative stitches, because right now this is all glued. So when I'm trying to sew through it, it can be a little stiff sometimes. Try just to go right under that one layer and get yourself some like rubber gloves, and that will help pull the needle. And just go under that one layer. Because if you go down too many layers, you're going to have a hard time. All right, whoops, come on. Now, and don't worry if, like right now, my bead is getting a little bent. Do not worry, because what I'm going to do is then take and put it on another toothpick. When I'm all done with this, I'm going to put it on another toothpick, and I'm going to put a little sealer on it, and that'll stiffen it back up. So don't worry if yours gets a little bit. But see my little decorative stitches? And they just it's like a V, little V's. And I'm going down, and then I'm going to do it like another stripe here and another stripe there. Now, I also have this yarn. So some of the beads are going to have that. I could do my decorative stitches just with this. Then look at this. You might have some of this yarn that everybody was making scarves out of, this kind of stuff a couple years ago. And you know what? It was hard to work with, but it's great for decorating beads. Then just regular old yarn. Look at this beautiful cobalt satin. Isn't that nice? Then I've got seed beads, gold and silver. I've got, look at this beautiful color. It's like a teal, greenish blue. Where are some of the others? 'Cause I've got some fabulous, and I've even got more. I need to go through and look at. But look at these. So then I can decorate them with different kinds of beads. And here is a light teal. Oh, look at this. These I'm going to use. These iridescents I'm going to use on the sari balls too. And then here are some charms. Oh, here are some jump rings. This is what I meant about jump rings. And so you could always just sew your fabric to the end of that. Now here, for these, you know what? I'm going to use the small ones for the sari balls. And these I'm going to use on this denim look fabric. They would be gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay. So I'm hoping I've given you some good ideas. To do the beading, I have some beading needles. Now, I won't need a beading needle for these. See, the hole is pretty good size. But I'll tell you which beads I will need a beading needle through for, and that's these. Oh, good. Yeah, we're having a fun time. And you know what? And I'm hoping that Alexis Grand is enjoying. Well, oh, here we go. Look at this. Here's one of the boho beads started. So see the straw, and here's the wire, and I put the beads on so it, and I need a bigger one on this end of the straw so these don't get lost down in the straw. But no, I will just go and find some other wonderful beads, but these I think I'm going to use on these denim. Where is my cap? Did anybody see? Oh, there. I put it right on the computer. But anyway, and if you wear eyeglass holders that have beads on them and they break, definitely save your beads. Beads are very inexpensive. Those are just so pretty. I love that color. All right, so I think that gives you an idea of how you can make artistic necklaces that say, I am creative and I made this myself. So, and oh, here is some pearl cotton yarn that it's got a little bit of tan, just a touch of a blue teal. So that will be pretty too. So now I know to finish decorating these. And I will show you these. When I finish them all, I will show you. But I can do decorative stitches with this satin pearl. I think this, and I do want to use a little bit of a neutral to kind of, because I kind of want to play it subtle. Okay? Surprising for me. But, all right. So now, and you've learned that with your sari balls, because that stuff's expensive, take leftover batting or the cotton from inside medicine bottles and put a little glue, school glue on it, ball it up, and then start winding the sari ribbon around it. And that way you won't waste so much of that beautiful, beautiful stuff. See, here are the rest of the little beads that came in that assortment of beads. So this might be fun for grandkids. We'll have to see. All right. I think now, and I showed you how to put interfacing and starch the fabric strips to make the beads. And then you know what to use on them to seal them. And like I said, I use school glue for the beads. But when I get to the end, I like to put just a little dab of tacky glue because that will hold it instantly. And I finally found my tacky glue cap. It's not good to lose a glue cap because you're going to lose the glue. So put that there. And don't forget what I said too, that when you're working with the glue, you'll have to close it more often, but put it in a mug, put it in a coffee mug upside down, and that way when you're ready to use the glue, it's ready to come out. All righty. Well, that's pretty good. Now that we've done all that, I think it's time to go see some of your photos. I forgot to bring hairspray down today, and my hair is so fine that if I don't spray it immediately with hairspray, it just so anyway, what can I say? I need to get some new hairspray down here, or else I'll look like a mess. All right, let me put these things away and let's go look at your photos. Gotta put my toothpick back. There we go. And I'll remember to send these to Linda. And if you would like to see if you would like to see some of those samples, send me an email at ourtimetoquilt@twc.com. Let me write it in here. So, because if you're like me, as soon as you get off here, you won't remember. I'm so glad. Crafting is so much fun, and it's a great way to fill up a hot summer day. All right, so our time to quilt at twc.com. And then hopefully you can go find her blog and see what other things she makes. In fact, do I have her name? Victoria. So I will send you the connection to her blog so you can go check it out. All right, it is now time for your photos. All right. Oops. Come on. Think. Okay. All right. Let's check out your photos. Okay. Here we go. Oh, here are some more. I'll show you the folder that I gathered. I gathered photographs off of the internet because I was like, what kind of fabric jewelry can we make? And so I go out to Google and I Google fabric beads, fabric jewelry. Now this looks like a knitted, like soft rope. I thought that was right pretty. I don't knit though. And here's Victoria's page. So I love those beads. Quilted fabric beads tutorial pattern. Then, if any of you use polymer clay, this was going to be something I try next, where you make a polymer clay bead and you bake it, and then you decorate, you decoupage paper, fabric, ribbon, whatever onto the bead. And I thought, well, that's cool. There's the necklace in its entirety. That's awesome. I thought that was cool. It's not fabric, but, oh, wait a minute. I think these are thread-wrapped wooden balls. So they're pretty. Then look at this. This is fabric. This was put in a frame with either glass over it or you pour resin over the fabric. And the beads are made out of fabric, too. Now, they are a tapered bead. You can make a tapered bead out of fabric. You just have to make sure you put it on at least a medium weight interfacing, starch it first, then put it on the fusible interfacing, and then put several layers of a sealer on that. That is so glossy. They might have used a epoxy, that maybe like a UV cured epoxy. Here is a necklace like the one I made with the fabric, with the gold jump beads in between the wooden beads that are stuffed inside fabric. And as you can see, don't get a stiff fabric. You'll never be able to get those gold beads on fabric if it's too thick. But isn't that pretty? Here's another fabric necklace. Now this one, what they did is put the bead in, then took a needle and thread, kind of twisted the bead, then took a needle and thread and just really sewed a tight knot around it. And then loaded another one, twisted it, sewed a tight knot. So you can also do that if you'd like to. This is where you take a bunch of yo-yos. Yo-yos are a way of taking a circle of fabric and turning it into a fluffy little gathered circle. And then you just string a bunch of those together and you'll have a necklace. Here is another form of polymer clay bead with beautiful Asian fabrics put on it. Here is another tube of beautiful fabric, dark wooden beads and wooden beads inside the fabric. And they use the dark wooden beads to cinch the big beads in place. Isn't that pretty? That's very elegant. Here's one in blues. Now they didn't do as many beads, but I think I kind of like more beads. But if you had a really beautiful fabric you wanted to show off, that's a pretty good way to show off fabric. Here is another, a little locket type piece of metal with the fabric laid in it. You can either put a piece of glass over it or pour resin. That is exquisite. That's really beautiful. And the fabric beads to match. Here is another cute. Now, I don't know if this fabric changes that much or these beads may have had the fabric glued onto them first. So it's a fabric covered bead and then they're put on a string. And that's kind of what that looks like to me. So you can glue fabric on the wooden bead and then just treat that like one bead. That way you can get the multiple colors in that one necklace. And see how it is wired, because you can see it has metal clasp and it's got a wire running through all those. But to me, that's a little more work. You just have to be aware of that. Okay, now let's look at your photos. So Miss Betty, I showed this Sunday. This is her gorgeous, gorgeous mosaic koi painting. She painted this on black fabric. I love those jacquard paints. They do a beautiful job. Beautiful work, Miss Betty. All right, let's see who else. I'm looking for art quilts. So here we go with Miss Charlene Lawson and her beautiful, beautiful garden gate. Love this. Let's see what she's got next. Beautiful stained glass. And I think all that is fabric except for the wooden frame. Isn't that beautiful? She can tell us in tonight's. And look at what Charlene ended up going to Bonnie, oh gosh, I've forgotten Bonnie's last, Langfeld. And she went and got a teaching smart card. Bought it from Miss Bonnie Langfeld. And then look, she did her own fluffy dog. Isn't that fabulous? Way to go, Charlene. So Bonnie Langfeld is really talented teacher. And she really taught you well. All right. I want to show Miss Charlene P. Look at her wonderful landscape quilt. And she has an Etsy shop and she sells her quilts. So that's always good to go see. Beautiful work. Love it. All right. Let's see who else. Miss Dolores. Oh, I can't wait to see her koi finish. She took and drew her own. She was inspired by what we were working on, but she drew her own, and look at it in progress. It's beautiful. So I can't wait to see what she comes up. Look at her garden. Oh, don't forget, this Sunday we're having a garden tea, a garden party. So send me the photos of your garden so we can share them. This is her progress on the Mountain Meadow quilt. Beautiful work. So thank you, Miss Dolores. All right, here we go. Miss Edwinice has a beautiful, beautiful quilt here. And she was asking me if I knew of what things she could do to add definition to this quilt. Well, this is your chance to feel free to give her an idea. I think it's absolutely lovely. I love the silhouettes. And I was telling her I think she could actually use ink tints pencils and do some highlighting. She could actually do thread painting and do some definition highlighting. I would put extra batting right behind it so that she can really give it some life to come forward. I would also do quilting around the designs in the vase to make them more definite. I think it's a wonderful job. So thank you for sharing that with us, Edwinice. It's beautiful. All right, now let me, okay. Miss Jody is still working on her beautiful horror figures. And here is her Dracula. And wait till you see her newest one. I'll give you a hint. It has fur, but you just wait. So that's wonderful, Miss Jody. She's got a whole series. What a talented, talented woman. All right. Kim Hicks got busy making something creative, and I love this. It's a reading pillow for her grandchild, and it has the pocket in it so they can put their favorite nap time book in it. All right, let's see. Linda McCollum, love her stuff. Now I can't wait to see what she does with fabric beads because she does such beautiful work with her collages. Can you imagine how beautiful one of her beads would be? Lovely. And consider too if you want to embroider a piece of fabric and wrap it around a straw and glue it. You could make your bead that way. Wrap it around a piece of cardboard tubing if it's thin enough. But she is so good with collages that she's going to be able to make some gorgeous, gorgeous fabric beads. So way to go, Miss Linda. Now let's see who else. Miss Marcia, she already beat us to making beads. And look at this. And there is her fabric. It looks like a fabric bead. So she's already on the road to doing hers. I can't wait to see what she comes up with next. But making beads is fun, easy, and very inexpensive. Takes hardly any money. Now we had this is Miss Melanie's folder. There's her husband's quilt. Very talented fellow. She taught him to quilt. There she is with her granddaughter. And look at this gorgeous thread painting of her pup. So I can't wait to see more from Miss Melanie. All right, let's see now. Let me see. Whoops. And what is this Monday show? Oh, okay. This is something different. All right. And let me just show you real quick, Miss Nadine. She was so busy, she didn't have time to do a quilt, so she painted rocks. And that way, it just made her feel like she was staying in touch with her creativity. So, all kinds of crafting. Whether you have time for a quilt or not, there are lots of fun crafts you can do. Now, here is Miss Patricia's Miss Fire and Ice. Look at her wonderful binding tool star quilt. Some bright, wonderful cat fabric for our next project. Look at her binding tool star pieces. They're beautiful. I'm so excited to see them. And look at her working on this garden gate quilt. I love it. Way to go. And I think right now she's moved to another project, but she'll come back to it in time. I do the same thing because I get busy. All right. Now, let me see. I think that's it for tonight's art quilt. I don't show all of the pictures on Thursday night. I try to mostly show things that have to do with our art quilting. All right. Let me close that back out and see you. Oh, don't worry, Miss Laura Rylander. You make sure to catch it later because we did some fun fabric beading, fabric necklaces. In fact, this is one of them that I made. So make sure you check it tonight because what we were trying to come up with is fun, cheap, easy crafts to do during the dog days of summer. Right now it's cool here, but that's unusual. And the weather will be changing. So I wanted to give you some interesting things to do during days when it's just too hot to go outside. So thank you for Patricia for reminding people and Laura for reminding people to give me a thumbs up because I've been getting more views and I do appreciate it. And I want to have other people come and enjoy what we do as well. All right, you dear hearts. I thank you. We did a longer one tonight because last week I could not get internet connection down here. So Mark had to drill a hole in the wall, run the router, and put it to a room right above this. And now it gets really good internet connection. You're in an organizing stage. I know that. I have done so much cleaning in this room. Let me tell you, but it gets me excited because I bought different painting projects. I'm going to try to do a little bit of resin epoxy work this summer. I can't wait to I'm going to try to do some plaster work, some air dry clay. I'm just going to have so much fun. I'm going to do some fabric dyeing. So, and have you ever heard of Capiz shells? I bought some Capiz shells. It took you 3 weeks to do your beads. Gotcha. And so I'm going to make a wind chime even from Capiz shells. I found them on eBay, I think. And I'm going to have to drill a hole in them. I hope I don't crack them. So I bought some acrylic paints in a pen. And I've been painting them because I tried using permanent fabric markers. It rubbed right off. So some I'm going to dye with fabric dyes and vinegar, but some I wanted to paint and like do an apple or grapes or little scenes, a sailboat. So I'm playing now. This is time to play. So have a great, great Friday. And I will be here Sunday. And Sunday we are doing crumb quilting. So grab your bag of scraps and let's get busy. Oh, thank you, Miss Edwinese. That is so nice. Thank you so much. So if you haven't been vaccinated, let's get those vaccines, ladies. I cannot tell you how good it feels not being afraid anymore. So, and I can tell you, I got my vaccines. I did beautifully. And I only have one kidney. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm proud of you all. I will see you Sunday. Take good care of yourself. I'm looking forward to crumb quilting. I've never done it before, but mindless. Oh, yay. Oh, and I did get my sewing machine to a shop because I told you about taking it camping and it wouldn't work. So I have it in the shop. I'm hoping to pick it up early next week because that's my favorite sewing machine. Take care, everyone. See you Sunday. Do something tomorrow just for you. Take a moment just for you. Bye-bye, guys. You're the best. Thank you so much for being here with me. You're the best.